Hi, and thank you for tuning to the Fight Zone podcast. In this episode, I talk with my friend and one of the best mixed martial arts coaches in Australia. Coach Renato Subotic is former Italian IMMAF national team coach, Australian IMFA national team coach, head coach in UFC Gym Sydney Australia. We had this episode long time in making with the very busy coach Renato, but we finally managed to sit together while he is staying under quarantine back from USA, cornering his student Janay Harding for her win on Belator 251. We had extensive talk and touched many subjects from leglocks and ground and pound in MMA to the importance of mastery and prioritizing your trainings. Renato coaches in UFC Gym Sydney, Australia, and is always open for advice to any young or advanced fighter. Get in touch with him at Facebook Renato.Subotic or Instagram Renato Subotic, one word, all links in descriptions as usual. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did.
Why do we fight? To protect home and family. To preserve balance and bring harmony. For our kind, the true question is, what is worth fighting for? The Fight Is All podcast.
I have two of my guys competing in Brisbane on 12, but will be hard for me to get up there because you need to stay 2 weeks out of Sydney. So, for example, they are already in Wollongong, and from Wollongong they're gonna go up to Brisbane. But hopefully things maybe change at the end of the month and the border open, and I will be able to come up there because I can't now. I'm already 4 weeks away from work, from family, etc. And I just come back and I need to stay other 2 weeks down in Wollongong and things like that. My wife will kill me, and yeah.
Yeah, you cannot find the misses. That's the only opponent he always wins.
Always.
Uh, you had a good success recently in USA. You was cornering. I hope he's saying the name properly. Janay Harding, isn't it? Like for her win
Yeah,
in Belator.
Janay Harding. She was competing against Jessica Miele in Bellator 251, and it was a great fight. She was amazing, and we actually was getting ready for another opponent, and was supposed to be the fight in Bellator Milan, so in Italy, back in my home. Yeah, but
Are you from Milano?
no, I'm actually near Venice, like more northeast Italy. But I was often in Milano. One of my fighters, Danilo Belluardo, he was a UFC fighter. He was from Milan, so I was often in Milan, and yeah. Anyway, the fight was cancelled because her opponent had to pull out for a bad knee injury, and we get to reschedule another fight in Connecticut in America, and was everything great because her opponent Jessica Miele was really tough, and she was number 7 ranked pound for pound female in the world, and we was a big underdog, but she really stick on the game plan, and we won like on the distance, unanimous decision. It was good.
Cool. Is Jenny your student, or she was just preparing for this fight with you? Like,
No, Janay is my student. She's basing now completely in my team, and as well, like I'm really busy here in Sydney. Like I'm not only like coaching, mainly I'm coaching in UFC gym, but I can say in Sydney we have changed a little bit the mentality how teams should work. So we are really sharing experience with different coaches. We try to like with different teams to to maybe have sparring in one facility, so we have more body to share. Sometimes the boys are coming and training with me, and sometimes we going in the other teams. And actually, this is what's really working right now, because we have a lot of bodies. Sometimes in some sparring days we have like 25, 30 high-level fighters, and that's great. I'm as well like one of the coaches of the Australian team, so it's great because this gives me an access to work with some of the best amateur coming up around in New South Wales. And I think this is what MMA scene needs more, like working together, sharing experience, and sometimes even I find myself to like get some idea, hearing a coach different perspective, and I say, maybe open some lights in my head, and this is great things I can implement in my game, my work, and this is how it should be, in my opinion.
Well, I'm all for that, brother, because I was doing this back home with the coaches around. Like we was kind of like doing like guest sparrings. Every Saturday we was going like a different gym between us. So like and like these different coaches like get input to. I don't mind other coaches working with my guys, and then vice versa. Like this, you
Exactly.
exchange experience. You get new ideas, as you said, like because no one knows everything in our sport, so it's always cool like when you're working with other good coaches. You always say,
Exactly.
this guy does that, or I never thought about it, or like I
Exactly.
forgot about that. So it's always good, and as we say, it takes a village to raise a champion. So it's always good. Like when
Exactly.
we compete between us, it's especially in amateur circle, that's mostly about growing the guys. Like if all of us are better, then we produce better quality fighters, and then when they go outside, then they can compete on proper level. So that's my understanding as well.
Yeah, I completely agree on you with you, and the things is as well like I'm really busy, and like I'm every day in the gym from 5 a.m. I finish like at 9:30 p.m. and right now it's great because when I have the advanced class, like competitor class, we have like sometimes 40, 30 people on the mat, everyone who have like a good level of skill set. Not everyone is professional, but honestly I have a lot of professional as well, and it's hard to see in one team like uh, all these people working together. And I think sometimes people get confused like between like learning and in the process, then I know everything, that's how it should be. That's wrong, even I think at the highest level at some point, because I'm young and I understand I'm in favor of of me, like I still can move like some top of the athletes, so I can help my fighters in the best way. But some coaches like getting like older, it's of course you can't do a role with your fighter, or you can't do things like that. But in the process, I think have to be this exchange where, for example, when an athlete come in your gym, you give him everything, he's growing through your knowledge, through your teaching, and at some point even you like a coach have to understand and say, okay, we need something more. Let's grow together. And make an example. You're going doing a camp. Your athlete's going to do a camp in another team, and maybe you can go with him. So you learn. You just open some doors, and when you come back, your level it's moving up. And this is, I think, the right mindset, like a coach, and not every best athlete become a great coach, but I think. Coach have to have that, like have to see things a little bit more further, and build his knowledge up every day.
Yeah, Absolutely, and also like as a coach, I would think if you're a good coach, first of all, you're not shy from your product, like your students, and second, you're not shy to sometimes to put the goals or to go for a role, and to learn as well.
Yeah,
Because if you're confident in your own skills, like what can happen? Someone can catch me in something I don't know. Fine, like gonna learn something new. I'm not shy, to get hit or like to get caught in a move from someone. Yeah, I get caught all the time, but if you stop learning, how you be good in keep teaching because the sport is progressing, like I can easily say that the fighters now like better the fighters in my time. So if I stop learning and if I keep it on the level that I was like when I stopped competing,
exactly,
I won't be on point with the time of development of the sport. You have to be open. And
exactly,
I think
exactly.
that that's slowly changing with MMA mentality because MMA was kind of perceived more personally. Everyone is trying now to keep his own and like, but now it's changing. I
Yeah,
think it's changing for
it's
good.
changing. It's changing. Still, you need to have your home, your base, etc. You need to have like a home when you're an athlete. But let's be real. Like this world is MMA. MMA world. It's so like exposed, like in media, but finally it's really small. And it's not a lot of things going on, and specifically in Australia, like you have like big centers, like for example Sydney or Melbourne, where you have a lot of teams, and after at the end of the day, it's not a lot of in proportion how big is the country and everything. So if you don't share with each other, if you don't, you can't like compete with maximum of level outside. And yeah, I find as well like the evolution of the sport. Like for example, I'm a professor of what I'm doing. I always say to my students, like when you're training, it's like you're going to university. I don't see MMA like violent. I don't see these things like people always try to um, say, oh, if you're an MMA fighter, if you're doing MMA, that's violent. Just bad people doing that. For me, I always say to them, it's like you're going university, and the more hour you invest in a specific area, for example, I don't know, you study maths, or you study in science, and you spend every week study that 5 6 hour, your probability to become good in science math will be big. And same things I seen in the area of MMA. You're working, I don't know, on the ground, and you're spending like 6 hour per week working on that, your probability to become good on that will be high. And this is how I'm looking at the sport. And whenever I give my feedback to my student, I say, look, your cage wrestling is not good. You need to invest that time on that. You need to invest on that. And this is how it should be. Being able to be able and humble to say, okay, it's the classic mistake make a striker when they come to MMA, and saying like, oh, I'm gonna bang and I'm gonna knock him down, and it's not like that. You find a low, middle, low level of wrestler, and you know how the fight will finish. Because when you have someone who tried to take you down, all your things change, all your plan change because you're striking. You can't commit 100% because you are scared to getting on the floor. You leave an opening, and mainly what's happening most of the time, they have the hands low, and it's the wrestler who counter and make the damage in the fight. That's yeah, how I seen the things.
I agree with that. You cannot strike if you cannot wrestle. That's the truth with MMA
That's
because
that's that, that's it.
when you're trying not to outstrike a wrestler and you're not confident with your stand up with your wrestling,
Exactly,
your hips are back. You cannot commit to strike. You cannot deliver the strong strike that you normally do, and you
exactly,
finish on your butt. And then guess who is dominating. That's how it works. It's
exactly. Seen the classic fight, everyone know, and it's more easy to make people uh, having the imagine like Khabib Conor. No, Conor, like on the book, who is the better wrestler? Khabib, and everyone know who is the better striker, and everyone will respond Conor. but it's not true, because who knocked down who in a fight? Khabib. Because Khabib, first of all, like, make him feel like he will get on the takedown, and they're gonna try to take him down. And you can see early in the fight, on the first round, he shoots really low. What's happened on the second or third round? I don't remember if it was second or third, but Khabib fake, and the same way he will go low, and he lands this big overhand right, and putting on his ass, you know.
Drop him.
Because you need
From
to
MMA
respect the
perspective,
rest.
his striking was more effective than the Conor striking. That's the result of the fight.
100%. Because Conor in a kickboxing, in a boxing fight, is a better strike, but not in MMA, because he needs to respect the wrestling of Khabib. So he gonna have his hands low, ready. I seen it, and what Conor was doing was perfectly right. He was be ready to catch him with a double underhook, so his pro will be really high, really heavy, and put his hands between Khabib and his body, so everything will be easier on the way out, you know. But that's exactly what a wrestler wants, you know. Bring your attention down, so I can commit my strike 100%, you know.
Well, similar thing happened in not that degree, because Conor Khabib was a very high fight, but the last fight of Khabib with just engaged, who is like, I can argue he's more effective MMA striker than Conor, probably, by my opinion. Doesn't matter. But what happened is, same Gaethje, in order, you know, being wrestler himself, in order to counter the power wrestling of Khabib, his hands was normally down than his previous fights. Normally he fights hands up. On this fight, like, he fought hands down in order to able to sprawl. And what happened? Khabib outstrike him completely. He outstruck him. He beat him on striking.
And to make an example as well, like, one important thing in this fight is how much Gaethje have spent on the first round just to move all the time, and every action of Khabib, he was reacting like classic wrestling style. He was reacting like 5 times on top of more, you know, spending so much energy moving around, and this have make everything easier at the end, not for Khabib. But anyway, that's the problem when you fight someone who wrestling all his life, and who is doing this, because the style of Khabib is extremely simple but extremely effective, where he have spent millions of hours doing exactly the same things every day, and this makes like him extremely dominant on what he does the best, you know. The things is like MMA, it's bringing back like of what we have said at the start of our conversation. Like, I'm studying every fight. Sometimes when I finish watching on the weekend UFC, Belator, I finish, I don't know, watching some remote fights in Russia or in Kazakhstan, and study, because this is what I love to do. And you can see how the evolution of sport is going. Like, for example, I remember 2 years ago, if you was landing a calf kick in the gym, people was look you like, oh, what this guy is doing, like, that's shit, you know, like, it's disgusting, you know. Technically was something really bad to do it. And now you seen the last year how the calf kick is getting success. And I remember I have my book, and I was watching like fights, and I see on my notes like calf kick, you know, and I see after on my notes like calf kick, and just getting often on my book, and I say, oh, we need to work on calf kick, because it's extremely effective. Calf kick, he tried to catch your leg, but he can't because it's too low, and it's like one of the things we're working a lot, for example. And it's before was, oh, if you do that, really bad, you know, like.
Yeah, calf kick become huge in the recent years, just like that, out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I really want to go back to your way of coaching, your coaching style, but I also want to go through to your own story as martial arts as athlete, because you have competed a lot in different rules as well, and to your way to coaching, because you're coming from an area that I'm also coming. and
Yeah.
it's fun to hear everyone's story. So like, how you started with martial arts at all, like, and where?
So I start really young because my granddad was a fighter, my dad was a fighter, my brother. So we come like from a family of fighting, and my background. So I grew up in Italy. I moved in Italy when I was 1 years old, but my parents are from at the time was Yugoslavia, but her background, my family background is Serbian. So yeah, like we kind of have this in our blood. Like my granddad, my dad was a traditional Shotokan fighters, so I started with a karate, and uh, things was normal for me getting up every day training. I remember like every Eastern Europe dad, like he was wake me up at 5 a.m. going for a run, and after you go to school, like was pretty tough. Other boys like 13, 14 years old like was focusing in other stuff, and I was focusing on that. And at some point I remember I didn't know if I was doing that more for myself or for my dad, but the things is everything's when you become older, I was more crazy than my dad, so I was really focusing just on that. Was never going out, never like for me fun was being the gym, and doing what I love. And I remember my idea was pretty clear when I was young, like I was 7 8 years old. My goal was I want to be a world champion, and I want to have a gym and build something different. And yeah, I compete in karate. From there, actually, my first part of my career was dedicated on the striking, and from there I move in boxing, and I compete in boxing. And the area where I'm from in Italy, in Northeast, it's so famous for like combat sport, mainly for striking, because we have a lot of like boxing world champion, WBC, WBO, and as well in Muay Thai we have Giorgio Petrosian, who he was uh, is a legend in sport and probably is the best kickboxer ever. When
Yeah,
he was 17,
Petrosian was really good.
uh, he was 17 and he was fighting Wakao. He was having 17 fights, 17 years old, I think. And he fought Wakao, was having like 200 and I don't know how many fights, and he drew with Wakao. So was the level of the guy. And nothing like I was really hard worker, and this was like my biggest talent. And I remember I moved to the gym of Giorgio, and was unbelievable breathing like with someone who was the K1 World Max champion. And from there, I was one thing I always felt like I was feeling like incomplete. I was feeling always, oh, I was boxed, but what's happening if I kick? If I When I moved to the kickboxing Muay Thai, I felt like what's happening if someone take me down and things like that. So I was really um always tried to challenge myself. And I remember I was driving every day 1 hour and a half to go in Slovenia, and training with at the moment was Carlos Maya, was a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And I
I know
remember my
Carlos.
first.
I know Carlos.
Yeah, yeah.
I met him in Macedonia. He's a nice guy. Nice guy, really
Oh,
good.
great. And at the moment was I'm talking about 7 years ago, 8 years ago. At the moment, having a black belt in Europe and training with a black belt was, oh, this is something huge. And I can't forget my first day. So I was really strong, like athlete. I was so explosive, so smart. And I remember actually I was before camping in Slovenia for a fighting camp, etc. And it was these people doing jiu-jitsu, and I was like, "Oh, what's happening there?" And I tried, and I remember the sensation when this guy who was so much lighter than me. he jumped on my back, and I was like struggling, and was the worst feeling ever. I felt like someone raped me, and I say, no, this can't happen anymore, So I remember that feeling. I remember I couldn't sleep because I'm like that. I'm so obsessed about, and I couldn't sleep for a couple of days saying, no, this can happen, So I get back the day after, and I remember the pain. Like first pain was the neck and things like that, but still, the crazy things happen. Like I become really good on submission, and I won all my fight by submission and on the first round. And the thing is, I didn't like it. I didn't like it because I was one thing. So was my biggest talent, like was the fighting IQ, not like strong, not like the fastest, but the fighting IQ. And I early in my career understand that's not good. I don't like to be in my back. I don't like to submit people and take a risk to some rounds. I was losing in the gym of people just lying on top of me and winning by point, doing nothing. And I was like hungry, like can happen. So I just decided to throw everything in the bin, and I say this is not working. And I just focused on freestyle wrestling. I remember I was wrestling like every day, twice a day, 3 times a day sometimes. And I say, no, I don't want to be ever the one on the bottom. I want to be the guy who's taking down, dominant the fight, and no one was understanding because at the beginning, actually, was a normal style. People don't understand when with the Gracie, with UFC, like the mentality was you pull the guard, you try to submit them, and was actually a cool, like people was working like that, and I didn't like it. Like I say, no, it's about percentage, and I was smart to understand that and make my training focus like on if I was doing 14 sessions at week, I was doing 10 on wrestling, and that was my game change, and nothing. I still was feeling I didn't have the best of the opportunity in Italy, so I moved in Brazil, and I was training in Nuovo União. I was training with Della Riva, and I want to really smell what is the real MMA. And Brazil at the moment was kind of the top with America, no? Because honestly, Russia probably was the top already, but wasn't the door open through the MMA scene, Sambo in Russia? No one was giving them shots, honestly.
Yeah,
So
I was
yeah,
recently speaking with my wife, and we was talking with someone, and she said you predicted that because back in the days we was watching UFC. I said, oh, wait until Russians get there and Eastern Europeans because they just didn't have access. And
yeah,
back in Russia, they have good
exactly,
fighters, they have good tournaments, but they don't have the money at that time. And I was like, oh,
exactly.
wait until those guys get there. And now, like you can see, it's like it's Russians like in every weight class that are doing pretty good. So yeah,
And
I predicted
and
that back in the days.
and people don't understand, like probably this is not the best like maybe we have some of the top fighter in UFC from Russia, but in Russia probably they are not even like I don't want to say number 10, in the in Russia scene, but some of is not only the best Russian come in UFC, is who have the access to get to UFC, and that's the reality, I remember one of when I was in Alpha Male, I was training with this guy from Dagestan, and he tell me like Khabib wrestling is not like number 50 on his weight class in Russian. It's people who in a wrestling fight they can Russian they can maul him, and dominate him. And I remember like yeah, that's the level,
Oh,
and
he
that's
has Khabib has a loss from a friend of mine, a Bulgarian sambo fighter like Marko Kosev, who is like three-time world
yeah.
champion himself.
And one of my game change was when I really start working and dedicate all my time on MMA wrestling, and as well I move in Alpha Male when everyone know Alpha Male is like basically a wrestling team who is doing MMA. So at the moment was Chad Mendes. I remember was Cody was a world champion, bantamweight, and that was like okay, that's the level, and I'm there. I can compete with this. But the crazy things, and maybe what is the turn of my career was I opened a gym in Italy, and my gym was probably at some point the best gym in Italy, where like all the best fighter around was coming and training with me. And honestly, like 9-10 years ago, when I opened the gym really young, I didn't open for training other people. I opened because I understand clearly what you need to do to become a good fighter, and my goal was fighting, but I didn't have the body. So I say I will open something so I can have a body and I can training when I'm here. And in the summer, because at the time I was working in construction, I was working. I was really working from 4 a.m. To 2-3 p.m. And I was saving all my money, because people think, oh, Renato, it's going like overseas. No, Renato, I come from humble family, humble origin, and I was saving everything I had to go overseas, and just come home and almost crying, because who is the idiot who invest all his money, go get bashed and come back and keep working and go get, and it's not normal. But what's happening at the moment, doing things right, and I was building an amazing team. Like I remember I started with 20 people, and at some point I was having like 400 students in my gym, and was something huge. I remember my city in Italy, everyone, soccer is the main things, but I remember at some point in my city, no one was talking about soccer, but was only MMA. And was people, I actually make everyone sick around me about MMA. and, and all the best fighters around, like Marvin Vettori, when he was back because his training camp was in US. But when he was back in Italy, he was come to visit me, training with us. Amedovski, Alan, he's from Macedonia. He was coming to training with me. He's a really good friend of mine, amazing guy. Leon Aliu, he's 8-1, brave fighter, was coming with me. Danilo Beluardo, UFC fighter. He was mainly based in my team. And the things was going great, And at some point, like I feel the responsibility, and I felt like, okay, this is one of my mainly talent was really give the opportunity to a fighter to compete to a maximum level. And for me, coaching is 24/7. Like even when I'm sleeping, I'm thinking about my fighters and what I can do to make them compete and perform in the best way, And I think this is the mainly the success I get. And of course, in Italy, I was one of the coaches of the national team for IMMAF, and I don't even remember how many medals I bring for IMMAF, like a couple of gold medal, silver medal at the world stage. Like who know IMMAF and who know how hard it is to get a medal at the IMMAF tournament, at the World Championship, know what I'm talking about. Like, and I was producing a lot of medal for Italy, for other countries as well. And yeah, here I am.
How you go to Australia?
So my wife, she's Australian, and honestly, like she was homesick, and at the beginning, when I arrived to Australia, was more like how can I say, just actually I was on a holiday visa, and my goal was we stay here a couple of months, and we go back. But I have a daughter, and the situation in Italy was great for me, honestly. But for the future, like my daughter Freya and things like when I come to Australia, I seen like a lot of opportunity. Even how the people was appreciate my work and the success I was getting straight away. Like I remember, for example, one of my fighter, Olivia Ukmar, she just turned pro. Olivia, I remember when I was, when I come to Australia, I didn't say I'm coaching, I'm doing that, but I like the fact how the people was getting information about me. And I remember I was actually flying for UFC Stockholm because one of my fighter was competing there. And I didn't say anyone like I'm coaching, I'm doing that. But the guys was, oh, why this guy is going UFC? Like, who is this guy? Like, let's check it out. Like, and at the moment, I was just training a small group of people, but not like officially. Like, I was just doing because I actually remember how I started. I was one of the first coming in the gym, and I saw Olivia. She was working really hard, and I passed 1, 2, 3 times, and I saw this girl like, oh, she's always before me here, and she's working hard, but she was making technically a lot of mistakes, like and nothing. I saw her 1, 2, 3 times, and I couldn't shut up. And I say to her, "Look, come here. Let's let me help you out." And at the moment, was just for the love of the sport. Like actually, I I was kind of feeling the fire inside to compete again, and I was training at the moment. I was going down in Wollongong, training with Volkanovski. I was training with Martin Nguyen, who is for me, it's like my brother, and it's one of the greatest person and champion I ever met. And I was feeling great. I was feeling everything is going on point for me to fight again. No, actually, I won a couple of competition in submission, in wrestling, and things was going great. And yeah, just the feeling, like I was the coaching. You have to feel to coach, and I don't know, like a fighter in the good way. You need to be selfish, and I couldn't leave people. So, a short story. I started preparing Olivia, and I remember I was talking to people about IMMAF, and the people, and Olivia and all the guys can tell you that. So what this guy's talking about, like IMMAF, World Championship, like national team, what is he's talking about? So I really try at the moment to. This is how I get in contact with Richie, you, and all the amazing people of IMMAF Australia. And I say, I want to change this thing. So I challenge myself and I say, okay, I will make Olivia ready and we're going for a gold, We're going again there and we're going to try to get the gold and the win. And it's really hard because for IMMAF, you need to make weight every day, get up at 5 a.m. in the morning, make weight, compete every day. It's probably hardest than any I don't want to say professional fights, but you need to have endurance, not only physically, but mentally, And Olivia, it's, in my opinion, probably the most talented athlete we have around in Australia. Her wrestling are phenomenal, and her mindset is unbelievable. Like she's wants more. She's so ready to learn and always there on the mat first. And we accept the challenge. We get in Bahrain, and Olivia was the first ever silver medal for a senior class for Australian team. And this is when actually I get the officially contact from Richie, who is an amazing president because he's so open-minded, and I like it because it's this form of meritocracy. When he contact me straight away, say, Renato, congratulations for the result. Congratulations for what you do. You want to be a part of the Australian team, like for the national coaches. And I say, I'm here to help you guys. And I'm here to go with you all together, and try to really, because everything we do, people don't know, but we do for free. It's no one like federation we don't have like any money access to say, oh, the guy is a coach of the national team, he get paid like $600 a week. No, it's just losing money on doing that. But it's for a big for a bigger goal, for the athletes, for giving an opportunity.
And for the
This is how
sport,
it's been.
I already organized like a couple of tournaments here in Queensland. By the way, okay, so like whoever is listening now is gonna warn it soon, so we have an advantage. We're organizing another Queensland Open next year. It's gonna be announced soon. That's gonna be on 20th of February. Hopefully the New South Wales border will be open. That's why we postponed. I was thinking about like doing before the end of this year, but I talked with the other people from the federation, and they say, oh, but New South Wales guys cannot travel, like, and we push it like to the next year. So like, first of all, everyone has time to prepare, like we always do, and want to give like a lot of time for people to prepare so they can go and be in their best shape. And second, for the guys from the other states to be able to travel. So like, hopefully there will be the restrictions will be eased the next year, so like we can come together and do a good competition.
And one thing I want to say as well, like the evolution of IMMAFA Australia, like we organize, and you was one of the main guy for that, the Oceania Championship in Gold Coast, and for the first time ever, Australian team have bring like, I don't remember if we bring like 15 athletes, and we ranked number one. We win like a team Oceania Championship. We bring a lot of gold medals, and we beat like teams like Bahrain or other teams, UK and New Zealand. And it was the first time ever Australia brings so many athletes at that level. And we have done like coaches like Brian Abizo, me, Alan Philpop at the beginning. One of the greatest athletes, I think, now in Australia, and everyone of the team have bring like really a high selection where we try really to select the best guys from each area, and as well not looking like he's my guy, no, but looking like for the benefit of the sport, where we actually select who is the best one. And it's hard because still IMMAF is not so popular here. So that's crazy, because I think in the future you can see, for example, Muakaev, he's 23-0 amateur. All the best fighters in UFC will come from IMMAF, in my opinion. Look, for example, Jack Shore, he was 15-0, and he is now 13-0 amateur, professional in UFC, and a lot of other great athletes,
Yeah, I think more and more, I think there's more and more IMMAF champions like moving to UFC, especially the last year, which was really tight for amateur competition. A lot of best amateurs, they actually switch pros so that they can compete. A lot of like good IMMAF athletes, they actually switch to pro, which now it opens sport for the new generation, for the new guys for IMMAF. So it's going to be interesting when we get back competing. There's a lot of chance now. Many of the big champions, they switch pro, so like there's place for new talent now. It's going to be very interesting when we start competing again.
Olivia, for example, is one of them. She was supposed to be actually fight 12th of December in Brisbane, but the fight get cancelled. It's a little bit hard, really, to find an opponent. And actually, I will use this platform as well. Like we have a lot of fighters, and if any promotion needs any weight class, I almost have like female and male, like every weight class. And yeah, it's just try to. It's hard, because Australia is a really big country, but sometimes you realize how small it is, for some aspect. And yeah, that's it. So, and about IMMAF as well, I want to say, like a coach, people need to understand the coaches, like why the Russians are extremely dominant in MMA scene. It's easy to understand why, for the background, where is wrestling, sambo, etc. But when the guy come to the amateur level, I'm talking about IMMAF, competing his first IMMAF fight from Russia, and the guy already have like 400 sambo fights, a million of wrestling fights. So he's not a real 0-0 in an amateur scene. He is already like probably have more experience than some of the UFC fighter in UFC, you know, with six champion, you know, and that's the reality. That's make big difference. This is what is how project, you know, we're talking about often about that, like try to make some more competition, like more open mat competition. When a guy 15 years old, he can come one day like a classic jiu-jitsu comp and he have like 6-7 fights maybe, you know, and bring his level up, you know, competing. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the point. So, like, our goal was, you know, to make as much competition as possible, so people can actually, you know, perfect the MMA game. It's not about like, of course, it's a competition. You try to win, but here in Australia, like as you say, like it's awesome work for Rich that he listens and gets new idea. Like we introduce division, so you can compete like C, B, and A division. The IMMAF rules like CMB are a bit more east rules. You don't have like head strikes on the ground, so like you can practice your sport. I think that was was generally missing in MMA because it's when you train jiu-jitsu, like what you do, you can be world champion in white belt. You compete with your own level. You train
Yeah.
6 months and then you start competing. Then you're getting all this experience during the time. That was what was missing in MMA because MMA like is dangerous
Yeah.
as a sport, right? So like to make this
Yeah.
step from
Yeah.
training to competing, it's a big thing. You can maybe it's not enough. Maybe I train another year. Maybe I train another year. Okay. The other
Yeah.
guys are too good. Maybe I never compete. So it's
Exactly.
what we did here. We provide a platform when you can compete on your own level. So like I'm gonna explain again the classes. So like C class, as we do it here in on Queensland Open, is C class. You can compete if you never won any martial art tournament, right? You might have like a
Yeah.
couple jiu-jitsu fight here there, but you haven't won tournament. That's your class. So you go and compete there. If you can,
Mm.
if you won any martial art tournament like boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, whatever, then you're going B class. So the rules are the same. No ground and pound in the head, but you can compete like on a bit higher level. So like C class is
Yeah.
newbies class. This is like more melting pot class. If you feel confident and you have already like a couple of amateur fights and you feel confident with rules, you go A class, compete, qualify for the national team. Like this, everyone has sport, you know, to practice his own sport with someone on your own level. So, and this
And
way,
that's how it should be. That's how it should be because people don't understand. Sorry, I just get the call on the back.
okay.
Even like a coach, you know, sometimes you find yourself to uh, don't have any opportunity for your fighter before like that because you need to like kind of push him to get compete like at the highest amateur level, and you know it's not the right things to do because like even we're losing a lot of fighters on the way, you know, because um, some of and some coaches do the wrong things when they just throw him fights and survive and maybe win or lose the fight, but the guy say no, I don't gonna do it this anymore, you know. Why? You know, it's not level. And actually this format, people maybe gonna sound new for the Australian scene, but I can bring the example of Italy. I remember and Vito Paulillo, Vice President Saverio Longo, they have done great job with that. I remember one of the first Italian competition was the Italian Championship Amateur, and you have the class, you say, no? And was like 30, 40, 50 fighters there, no? And after couple of years, I remember the Italian Championship, you have to do 2 days tournament because was like 400 people signed for the tournament. And it was crazy, it was huge. And this is like brings the level up a lot, like because you find the guys who turn say in A class already with maybe like 20 fights, like and this is what's make a big difference, you know. Brother, I just leave you 1 second because I have a medical check with the nurse for because I'm still in quarantine and they need to check if I'm still alive.
You're legally a wife now.
Everything.
You're legally a wife.
Yeah, still alive.
Good. Yeah. Well, I think it's growing. Like we're speaking back. Man, like whoever is listening in, Renato had to interrupt to get his medical check because he's in quarantine, like getting back from Belator. And yeah, we were speaking back about like how IMF provides you this experience that you need to get as amateur, to get on a proper level, and then you can go do whatever you want if you have like plans to become professional or not. It's up to whoever.
Exactly.
Renato, let's go to a bit of coaching talk.
Yeah.
So how I this podcast is mostly about the amateur athletes and about coaching. So I really want to get into like how you approach how you use preparation of let's say I'm a guy who I'm like 15, 16 years old and I come to your gym and I want to start training. So how you approach what you teach them first, how you systemize their preparation until you bring them to the level that you bring your fighters.
So I think every fighter is different, and actually, I think is no hardest athlete to manage than a fighter, because fighter have a lot of issue. You can't be normal. Go in the gym and get hit in the head like it's not like the most natural things, but honestly it's probably is natural because we born like even you can say I like I say I love to study and I love not only I want to I love to study what is around the sport, and you can see for example genetically, right? Every every area someone come from uh, kind of develop what you, even if you don't know, but what you are good at. For example, bring it in Ethiopia. All the Ethiopian are famous for marathon. It's really good to running long distance and things like that. And genetically is a reason why, And the same things about fighting, like genetic and the genetic memory is so interesting because look, for example, like Mahori or people from Russia or people from all like the Balkan area, like Serbian, Bulgarian. They're people who, for example, for hundred years was always in war, and it's kind of instinct. You have these things coming out when you grow, But we are humans, so we have these things too, And I think it's important for a coach uh, understand how the mind of the athletes work, And everyone have to be different. For example, in the corner, you have some athletes. I have some athletes. They need like to me be there 24/7 and make him feel like safe, make him feel like okay, we can do this, no? And you have other type of athlete. For example, bring out Janay. Janay is one of the easiest athlete I've ever been in the corner. She's like so chill, so quiet, and we every day we get down, we training, we get the job done, hang out, relax, and was probably one of the easiest time I was in the corner with someone because, and even for her heritage, she's uh, Alpha Mahori, so it's depends of course of a lot of things, but where you're from, then like kind of give you the line um, of your attitude when you're fighting, and that's it. I think with the young athletes, you need to be open-minded. Like honestly, I passed through a different stage like a coach. I was really, really strict before. Like in Italy, I was having students who was like getting up at 5 a.m. and I was telling, before school you need to come in the gym training, and after you go to school, like, was so much like Balkan style and and things like that. And I remember some of the parents was telling me like, oh, my son, you know, he's going to school, he's sleeping on the table, and he's not doing things well at school. And I told to these parents, like, how was your son before at school? Was good or bad? Ah, he was bad. So I say, it's not problem MMA. The problem is your son, you know. That's the reality. But with the time, I get more like relaxed, like a coach, because you need to take fighting seriously. It's not a game. You can't play fighting, you know, you get hurt. But you need to have and you need to make feel your student. The mainly things is have fun of what you're doing, you know. You need to enjoy it. You need to understand and have in your mind how important is and how dangerous can be, but you need to have fun. And this is one thing I always repeat to my students, because if you don't have fun, if you're doing because people are watching me, because I want to be a champion, that's not the way. It's you need to split up. It's big things become a champion, but you need to split the things, big things every day with the work, you know. And yeah, that's my things. Like, I try to understand who I have in front of me and evolve like my approach to them in different way. And of course, you have some things you don't change, you know, because it's kind of the DNA of the gym and the way we work, like, you know.
You mentioned this, which is a common problem with MMA athletes, to overtrain or to undertrain. So how, for example, what signs you're looking for someone like not to overtrain, and what signs tell you for someone he's just like trying, you know, to get it easy and just pretending that he's training too hard, but he's actually not giving. So that's a common problem for MMA coaches, and you have to guide it. Like, how do you deal with that? So let's say how you recognize someone is like pushing too much, and how you recognize what signs you're looking for in an athlete that he's actually not giving enough.
You understand straight away that, and some things like coach need to understand. You can really be a big point of change of the life in athletes, you know, in a lot of aspects. But is about how someone grows as well, you know, like. You can't change a guy. I'm talking about now amateur. I'm not talking about professional. But you can change a guy, training him 3 times per week. If I don't know, his family at home is eating McDonald's, it's having an healthy style life. Parents are drinking. That's really hard. I want to say one thing. To just, you know, people think, oh, you need to be a fighter. You come from bad things. You know, you come back from Bronx, I don't know, these legends. That's not true, you know. People have to understand it's different type of struggle. Like, for example, people from Dagestan, I make an example because we was talking about that. They are always in uncomfortable position in a training, in a positive things. And they, after evolve like the skills, blah, 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 etc. But if you are come from bad things like playing the gangster or you know, like you losing the time of your life, smoking, like, I don't know, drinking, partying, pubs and things like that, it's an effect of things. You can't be a champion. That's no way possible, because you invest in your time in a things different area of fighting, total opposite area. And this is like coach have to understand like why this guy's not pushing and how I can bring him. For example, one things I do like a coach, I try always to put the lights on of the hard worker, of who is putting. So if I need to give some credit on my student, I try to give credit to who is working hard. So maybe the guy who's not pushing, start seeing him like an example, no? And I try to give this. I think is in on coach, give the line of how the gym have to go, you know. So if you give this type of attitude, the people who are gonna come in the gym will be more similar to that way of working, you know. And yeah, it's like a wolf pack, you know. If it's one type of wolf pack, I don't know. If you come in the gym where everyone is working hard, training hard, and living for that, and you come to do it like, oh, I will just come here, I'm a fighter, I'm a that, you're not gonna stand there a long time. You're just gonna find a way out, you know, because it's not representing you. That's how I think about, you know.
Yeah, it's all about culture in the gym, and as you said, it's just when everyone's pushing hard. If you're not, it's you like you. It's not for you. It's not your place. It's you create
Exactly.
your mini tribe in the gym, and that's what's pushing you, and then you have to prove yourself there.
Exactly. And at some point, it's some athlete, like you mentioned, like they training too much, and that's another type of I don't want to say sickness, but it's insecurity. You know, you need to training over what you're doing, and this cause injury, this cause problems, this cause other stuff, and that's different. Like it's you need to uh, teach them to love themselves, and take it easy sometimes, and bring the science in, you know, bring the science and saying, look, this is the protocol we need to follow, and this is how work on the top of the level. So you want to be there, we need to follow there. And I get angry a lot of times because this is my fault. Like an athlete and like a coach, I was always hard worker, and my team, my the guys around me, it's following that. And I learn in my mistakes, my injury, and my things, and yeah, you need to bring the science there and say, look, guys, this is how it works. For example, like an MMA coach, you can't do everything. You can't be the nutritionist. You can't be a physio. You can't be so. You need to have a people, the best professional you can have. Of course, is about as well like economical finance of an athlete. Oh, not everyone can have a physio every day, things like that. But you need to prioritize them and making them understand like love your body, love yourself, and if I have to choose honestly to recover or going out with friends, maybe spend in the drinking and feeling bad the day after, that's not the good things. It's better you spend that money on, I don't know, on good food, healthy food, recovery, physio, massage, things like that, you know. And yeah, it's just bringing the science in and bringing the numbers and saying, look, this is how we need to training because this is how the top level are training.
Yeah, and it's very important for the athletes to understand. That's common with MMA athletes because you're always competing with.
Yeah.
You always try to get better, like to want something more. It's endless in every area. But you have to understand that recovery is part of the process. It's part of your training. Sometimes the race is part of your training.
Right. Yeah.
And also it's very importantly mental because pushing all the time it's hard, and you cannot learn new stuff. So even if you just try
Exactly.
to study stuff like your brain gets tired. How long you can study for a day? You study three hours, and then you cannot stuff anything more in your head. It's not like filling a bucket.
Exactly.
So it's the same like when you're learning new technique, new move, polishing your own move. So like if your concentration is, if you're tired, your brain doesn't accept you can do hundreds of things at the same time, but your brain says, no, I'm not a bucket, I cannot feel anymore. So it's very important to keep
Exactly.
also your brain fresh so you can learn new stuff and you progress your skills because at the end of the day it's a skill sport.
Exactly. Extremely skills. And of course, like every sport, you need after other effects will help you more, like the heart you put on, like the mindset, the toughness, and this is why this sport is so spectacular, you know, because anything can happen in a short time, and in a moment, you know. And honestly, after, like, every athlete is different, you know. I'm sure someone like Khabib is training like harder every day, and like a coach, you need like to keep giving that, but try to, and you can see in the Khabib career, he have a lot of injury as well, you know. But you need dominance in this sport. It's a way to training. So you need to training to be dominant, and is a number of how the fights get win. I remember I was reading some percentage of UFC, and I think 13 fights finish by submission, something about 15 by KO, TKO, and all the other it's about decision, you know. So you need to put your work in what's make you win the fight, and that's the things, you know, like it's periodize the training. I know sometimes I feel not my training get bored, but I feel like I'm focusing, because I want to make clear this, like in this sport, it's so complicated. It's really hard. It's a lot of things you need to work on. But the biggest mistakes people made, it's losing, like, maybe I'll make an example, losing 5-6 months training things you don't need, you know. And that's a problem, because like you can do that with a guy who's coming in your gym like 12 years old, 13 years old. You can spend some time teaching things fun, you know, who's more like making him enjoy. But when someone maybe late in the age, who is already have some fights, wants to, you need to change a lot of things in the game, you know, on the way. Not okay, we stop, we focus, we training. No, on the way. That's different, because you need to cut the bullshit out. I always say that. And you need to give a packet to your athlete when the things actually work. Because if we're doing things like, I don't know, I know submission are beautiful, and I know it's beautiful to submit someone, but if for that, it's the attitude of the training. This is why the dominance of how we're training, it's something we do every session. So be dominant, you know. Because if I make one session when I'm teaching a guy like I making this example easier. Okay, you come in my gym, you have 16, 17, 18 years old, right? And we start training, and the first session I teaching you is how beautiful is an armbar from a guard. Okay, and the worst things can happen is I put you sparring and you submit someone from the close guard armbar. What's gonna happen in your head? You're gonna have like feeling like, oh, this is amazing. It's so cool. I get the guy top who's doing MMA already 3, 4, 5 weeks or 1 month. I submit him in armbar. That works. But this brings wrong attitude, because you're gonna prioritize in your head saying, okay, you're gonna accept a bad position to try to submit him, and in your imprinting for the sport will be wrong, because we'll get long time to change this feeling and get in your head like, oh, what I'm doing is good, but it's totally wrong for MMA, you know, because you need to get to accept, okay, for example, no one, and like a coach, I'm doing this a lot, but no one understand how important it is to determine things in a determinate moment of the round. I make an example. You are in the mount. It's the last round. You're winning the fight. You win the 2 rounds on 3, or you win all the 3 rounds. You're in the mount, ground and pounding. It's 20 seconds left. You can, if you have the tools, you can lose the position and try, I don't know, armbar or try something. At the end of the round, even you can do that. You know, of the first round. But this you can do if you win the round, you are dominant, and you try to finish him at the end. But for example, 5 minutes round, 2 minutes and a half, you are in the mount. Okay, you start ground and pound, you find an opening, you go for an armbar. How many fights you seen like that? Reverse position, now the guy's on top, and you have lose your top position, your extremely dominant position to try to submit him and finish him early in the round. It's 2 minutes and a half left. Everything can change, So stay dominant, ground and pound, heavy shots, find the opening. At the end of the round, you can go for a submission and make the rounds in your pocket, and make it make the win. That's the goal.
You said about the package you deliver. So do you have like a set kind of like how to say, like system, or like a set certain set of rules that you want for someone to teach first before you proceed? So how you proceed technically, like with the blank new student that you have planned that comes to
It's
training? Do you
about,
have like a
like I
basic?
say, yeah, like of course we have like a basic skill set. I'm talking about, it's different, the package for a beginner, and it's different package for who have a different goal, like fighting and stuff like that. Okay, and for a beginner is mainly even more important. Don't give him too much information and confuse him. Like sometimes, and you can see, for example, my fighters, when they have like they debut or first amateur, they mainly bring the win home, and pretty easy, because like I invest 1-2 years like focusing like on the importance to be dominant, because I make an example in the opposite way, the feelings, no, and you need to make him understand that if you take everyone down, right, and you are on top position, but you get choke all the time, you get submit all the time, in your feeling inside, you feel like, oh, I'm doing something wrong, like that's wrong. So you start like not, and like a coach, you need to really make him stick on the plan, because after 4, 5, 6 months, or even sometimes sooner, you're gonna be the guy who take him down, stay on top, they can't submit you, and you win extremely dominant, and without getting any injury. One, because stay on top makes you avoid the damage, and makes you having less problem. If you understand the game at the beginning, of course, you taking people down wild without having any like knowledge about how to manage the second part of the action, when you actually touch the floor and the jiu-jitsu, the no-gi starts, no. But when you're gonna get there, and when you have gonna have the basics, because make an example where the wrestler, like look the numbers. I don't know how many UFC champion are now, and are mainly old wrestlers, because like if you teach a wrestler a basics takedown, a basics submission defense, and closing the space, keep him on the floor, and even take him down, be able to take him down many times of the round, like the things change a lot. For example, at the earliest UFC, you've seen some wrestlers, high level wrestler fighting, I don't know, Gracie, but they didn't have any knowledge about submission defense. And now when the wrestler have that, it's different things,
Oh, there was actually like a great example for that. I think Matt, who fought with Royce Gracie again, but he was UFC champion, a wrestler guy, like Matt, not Matt Hamill.
Matt, yeah, I understand which fight you're talking about.
Yeah, so like after years, like he fought back with Royce Gracie. Was Royce Gracie like came back? He completely wiped him out. Like that only showed the evolution of the sport. Like when all this started, you know,
Exactly.
the jiu-jitsu guys was actually catching everyone with submission. But then when the wrestlers learn how to play the submission game, then Royce Gracie was not even working on his level.
Yeah,
He just wiped him out. That's a bad
yeah.
example
And
from
you
what
can
you're talking.
see, you can see like the evolution, for example, in the no-gi, like you've seen how, for example, the things are evolving. And I always say that, like, look at the best in the no-gi in the world. They're all like top position guy now. Okay. And in the other section, you've seen the evolution of the leg locks in the game. No, the leg locks are becoming like something really, really dangerous. You have to be careful because you can finish in really bad position when someone ground and pound in your head when you try to leg locks. But I, for example, think about the leg locks is really good way to scramble and maybe use it like make him think like, okay, he's gonna go for the leg lock, but you use the scramble actually to scramble up and get back on your feet from the bottom. You know, you scare him with the leg lock, he start defending, boom, you come back and restart the fight on the feet. You know,
Well,
the leg.
I look at the leg walks in that way. So the reason why there's this like I call it city legend for leg walk. Why people like going for leg walk and end up in bad position is because of IBJF rules of leg walks. From sambo
Yeah,
perspective, the
yeah,
way leg walk is permitted in jiu-jitsu is wrong leg walk. You know, you don't do leg walk like
yeah,
that. So when we compete, my guys compete in IBJ Pro say don't go for leg walks. You know, they don't know proper leg walks. That's the wrong way to do
yeah.
a leg walk.
Exactly,
And
exactly,
that's the purpose why, because like many IBJ being like most dominant grappling rule set in the world, uh,
exactly,
that's why like people don't know how to do leg walks. But leg walks are the same like every other submission. If you have good control on the position, like good pin, then it works. It's a fast and good submissions to do. And if you know how to use them,
exactly. Oh,
become very good addition of the game.
yeah, yeah. And this is why it's so important, like seeing the evolution of the game. No, like we just say, before wasn't like seen that often. Now you've seen in UFC, you've seen a lot of leg locks finish it, and now it's something coaches and MMA coach because like MMA team is not. I know it's hard because sometimes for the financial way, etc. Having like maybe a good MMA coach, a good wrestling coach, good uh, gi no gi coach. It's hard for a gym, you know. But everyone have to do what can do, you know. But the things is try to do it in the most professional way. So even if you are only like it's a small gym where it's only a MMA coach, maybe with the jiu-jitsu background or wrestling background or striking, try to periodize and do things right, you know, having the clear picture of the game, you know, studying that way to offer like in that package we was talking about the most um, like the things what really work for, you know. If for example you are not good on leg locks, just don't do it. Teach people to defend it and don't even open this area, you know what I mean, like teach the defense. Don't maybe teach the things like can put him like in really bad situation. I saw even in some sparring like or fights when the people try to get leg lock and get TKO KO and that's like wrong from the coach, like you know, to teach them something you are not really capable for. This is and this is where the coach have to make himself different and say, okay, I have these holes in the game, let's focus on that, not say, oh, I know everything. No one can know everything. That's the things, the reality. So let's bring yourself, get it's internet is everything. And sometimes internet is not the best way, but try to with the internet find, okay, where I can go and upgrade my skill set, what I can do, what I can watch, who I can contact. And sometimes you don't need a lot. Maybe it's a good jiu-jitsu gym around the corner. You go there, maybe ask some advice. For example, I'm so lucky. I'm working with Keller. Keller, he was the winner of ADCC Japan, and he's actually was in the national judo team, Olympic team of Australia, and he's a high level grappler. And when we when you have the same mind, we agree on a lot of things. And his no-gi game is really like go for the submission, really dangerous. But for example, when we work with my MMA guys, and I spoke to him and said, look, I need to prioritize this. I need to prioritize the submission, the top position, and I need to prioritize top game. And he's completely say exactly what we need to do, because MMA, they say every punch, if someone is black belt and you are on top, you punch him once, he become brown belt. You punch him another time, blue belt. It's not like that, but I've seen a lot of high level jiu-jitsu fighter. Maybe they come to try MMA, good level. When you start hitting him, like get panic, get like, of course, because it's not funny. That's it.
It's very different, and I can being having the chance, to compare, the development of BJ and Sambo from my area. For example, in Sambo, because of the rules, guard never develop as a position. You have like
Exactly.
some moves, you have the basic moves, like Kimura, guillotine, armbar, whatever, but never develop as strongly as in BJ, just because of the headbutt. In combat, some headbutt is a lot, and it's a very dangerous weapon. So you cannot really spend much in guard there. So even in Sambo, if you're there, you're losing. So in Sambo you can win by pins, but points by pins. So like if your back is on the ground, you're losing by pins. So like even you play differently in Sambo, especially combat 7, played a bit sideways to stay away from the head, and the stand up is your primary option before going to match. And I find that transition really good transition in MMA, because in MMA you cannot spend too much time attending submissions, because as you said, when the punches start training, it's and ground and pound is like a great weapon. Like they did it there as well, but everyone can punch you in the ground. It's simple. It's way more simple, to land a punch than to pass a guard. And if you're getting
I totally agree on that. And I find like MMA fighters, they finish on the floor with a good level of jiu-jitsu guy. What they do, they don't ground and pound, or they ground and pound wrong. And this is really bad, because like if you teach someone to ground and pound wrong, for example, I'm in classic position, I'm in the guard, and the guy is holding my right hands with the both hands. It's clearly he wants to attack my arm, and the people start punching with the opposite arm. You give him the armbar straight away, or triangle, or everything. And so what's happening in the fighting mind? You have to respect the jiu-jitsu, but you can't be scared about, if you start being scared and you get submit 1, 2, 3 times, you're gonna say, fuck, I don't gonna get finished there, or the guy will always submit me. And this is the bad habit we started talking about, we was talking about before. So you need to make a session on ground and pound, when the people, they know they are in posture, they ground and pound in the right way, they make the damage, they use the ground and pound, so they improve their position. Not like going in the guard and start swinging crazy and just get always stopped from there. And of course your habits are gonna be really really bad.
Yeah, and ground pound is another area I think underestimated, not in underworked in MMA.
Underestimated.
It's very interesting area, and there was interesting stuff you can do there, and a lot of interesting way, to tangle the hands of your opponent, free yours. and I think it's an area that whoever is working over has an advantage, because it's most of people say, oh, you just get on top and you just punch, and but there's a lot of things
Exactly.
you can do from there, and if you do properly, that it's a very good pathway to the win. So yeah.
And people need to work on as well, like a lot on prediction of the movement, because like this is where you make the difference. When you are in the guard and you start hitting him and you start like making damage, how he can react? He gonna try to scramble up. He gonna try to create space to get back on the feet. He gonna hold you down, or he gonna like it's certain things he can do. You can't like I don't know. He can sweep you, okay? And this is the 3 action he have, 4 action he have. It's not too complicated. So now, when you evolve your training in the gym and you say, okay, we start ground and pounding, what he do? Knee shield, try to stand up, how I act, how I react, closing the space, try to keep him on the floor. And this is one problem, done. Second things, what he can do, he tried to grab my hands, try to go for a submission, fighting hands, hit him hard, posture up, and improve your position. And this is how you solving the problems. This is how coaching should be, like making simple and making like, okay, no, like, oh, you're in the guard now. I make an example. Go for the, like he's in off guard, you go for the knee bar and losing. Why? This is you can do when the people have cleared the aspect of the basics way to develop your ground and pound in that position. After, you can have fun and you can teach something unorthodox, but prioritize, not like, okay, oh, you can do that and you can go for the, reverse knee bar and boom. No, you can't do that. You're going to just confuse people, and don't make him like effective in the area in MMA are extremely dangerous, because if I'm in your guard in MMA, like I'm winning the fight and I'm making the damage. I have the gravity and everything, and yeah, for not talking about professional elbow,
I'm,
etc.
I'm working on this perspective, and so I have engineering background, so like there's a thing
Yeah,
called in physics which is called degrees of freedom, which
yeah,
degrees of freedom is how many possibilities a body can move. So
yeah,
generally, like what we do as coaches and in general in martial arts, so in general a fight is the chaos, right? And
yeah,
as fighters, as coaches, like we're trying to put order in the chaos. And if you're able to put order in the chaos, you most probably gonna dominate and win. And that
yeah,
works in that way. So if two people are standing against each other, they have most degrees of freedom, which means everything can happen. So they're both free, nothing restricts them. That's most degrees of freedom. When you catch someone in clinch, you get the underhooks, you take degrees of freedom of him moving. Okay, so he cannot use his legs, or if you go for the legs, now he
exactly,
cannot use his legs. So like he has less degrees of freedom. So now what's your next step? You take him down. Okay, you isolate the legs, but what's the next degree of freedom? He has his hips, he has his hands. Now you have to take more degrees of freedom for him to win. So you have to isolate his hips so he cannot go for submission or shrimps or stand-ups. Now the next step is to take more degrees of freedom of him. Okay, now he has his hands, right? He defending with his hands.
yeah,
So your next step is to take these degrees of freedom. You have to isolate his hands so he cannot use. Now, okay, you have his hips controlled. You have his hands isolated. Okay, now it's time for you to start to attack. He has no degrees of freedom. What you need to do? You have to set degrees of freedom of you. Okay, so I have to use my body, my legs, my weight to free one hand. So now my hand is freed as degrees of freedom for me. So now I can start like attacking ground pound, like like working for isolated limb
exactly,
for submission. And at the end of the
exactly,
day, if you look what submission is, that's taking all degrees of freedom for your opponents. He cannot move. He's in a walk position. No degrees of freedom. He has to tap. That's the what the game is about. Like putting control in the chaos and taking degrees of freedom.
exactly. I totally agree, and you clearly show how you prioritize your athletes training, and that's the right way to do it. Because, like, I know it's fun. Like, I don't know. doing flying armbar or flying triangle. It's fun, like it's cool, you know. But this have to be when in the athlete's mind it's clear what he needs to do to win the fight. If you start teaching fancy stuff at the beginning, you ruin an athlete, because that's the reality. Like I always say to my guys, it's not about basics. The basics are complicated if you don't have clear in your mind what you need to do. Are really complicated, because if you've seen you can see that. Of course, I have to nominate who is the best to do that and who people know, like Khabib. No, people clearly. I remember when they was watching his fight, they was booing. There was even the normal athlete was saying, "Oh, but yeah, why doesn't stand up the opponent? Yeah, he have all easy fights." But the reality is, in his way to control the opponent, it's so simple, but so you can see how many million of hours he has spent in all the section of every movement he does on the floor, and how effective it is and dominant it is. No, because winning 29 fights and win he probably have lost 1 or 2 rounds in all his career. These have to bring attention to a coach and say and what damage he have get in all these fights. He's a fresh athlete without any brain damage. It's not. I know it's fun, get in the cage, get wild, bang each other, but you need to realize what works. If you are like a coach or like an athlete, because a lot of athletes, they want just go in and bang, you know, you hear a lot of them doing that. But you need to understand what you have to be real. What's winning? Maybe things will. Sorry, another call.
You're busy man. Yeah, well, Khabib is a great example of how mastery is applied, and I also get pissed, as probably most of the coaches, when people are booing, because unfortunately MMA public is mostly from people who don't train, and they don't really see the mastery of someone who is able to apply the same thing to beat all the possible counters. Everyone is trained, everyone knows what he's gonna do. Everyone's trained what he's gonna still impose his game, and that's a pure mastery. Yeah. That's example of mastery.
Yeah. And another important things, when they develop the training, you need to play by the rules they given to you. For example, how the system works. They judge every round, right? So who win, it's 10-9. Who extremely win and dominate the round, it's 10-8, sometimes 10-7. Okay, if it's there, is a draw. But for example, this is how UFC rule works. Okay, if you go in one championship, they judge the all fights, and that's different things. You know, for example, and I like it in one way, but you need to evolve the game to the system you are working with. You know, in one championship, they, for example, give the winner who make more damage, and who not making only damage stand up but on the floor, and who ends the fight in the winning way. Because if the fight finish after 3 rounds, and I make an example, and this happened in UFC, you win the first round, you win the second round, for the weight cut, for more things, you're losing clearly the third round, you win the fight, right? One championship is not like that, and I like it, but you need always to play where is the reality of the rules, you know? Because if the rules say we're judging every round, you need to win the rounds. You don't need to win the fights. That's difference. In one championship, for example, you need to win the fight completely. In UFC and the United Fight Rules, you need to win every round. You don't, and winning, you need to win in a title fight 3 rounds. In a normal fight, 3 rounds fight, you need to win 2 rounds. In this way, you win the fight. This is the way you win the fight. In one championship, this is why you see more. And for example, the knee in the head, they changed the game. Like someone thinks about twice. I come from that background. Like wrestling is how you win the fight, and what I believe is the best things. But someone can knee you in the head on the floor, the things are a little bit different, you know. Of course, you need to evolve the game in different way. Maybe having some type of shots they avoid, like your opponent to knee in the head, and like decide and prioritize your takedown offense in different way. Like that's it.
Yeah, there's a classic, how to say, classic teaching in fighting. Sun Tzu, the Chinese warlord, like his teachings.
Yeah,
He has this principle, the 3 principle when you prepare for a fight. You have to know your opponent, his weak and strong sides. You have to know the terrain you're fighting. In our case, that's the rule set, the way of judging.
exactly.
Uh, Even the area you're gonna fight, it's sometimes different. If you fight in your hometown, you find someone else town, and everyone is going against you, and then you know yourself. So when you prepare the fight, you have to cover these 3 principles. Okay, so did you study your opponent? Did you study your good and bad sides, and study yourself from perspective of your opponent, what he's gonna try to do to you? And then as we were speaking,
Exactly.
you have to know the way you're gonna.
This is important point you say, probably one of the most important, because people in the camp, they focus so much on what they gonna do to the opponent, but your opponent is preparing themselves. So the coach have to be able to think about like his coach sometimes, so what I gonna prepare against my fighter. If I was a good coach, if I'm a good coach, I gonna prepare that. So you need to, I've already, like, I can say, the antidote for his poison, and this is the interesting chess game, and I love it. This is what I'm really good at. And if you see the Janay fight, was amazing. Like we prepare, and I've posted some highlights, and as well, like was in a Belator clip where I'm saying and she's executing at the same moment. This is, you just can do that if you prepare like a great game plan. And another things is you've seen our warm up, or you've seen our sparring in the gym when she lands this type of throw, the Uchimata, and you see she landed exactly 3 times in against a black belt, number 7 ranked in the world, and really young, and having this type. This is why it's so important. You trust your coach, and you believe on what he's doing, because and this is where you need to be good, like an athlete. Understand where is your coach in your life. Like if he doesn't if he can't give you the right if it can make you do the right choice, that's not good to things. Like we need to, you really feel a connection with him, but you need to evolve with him. And like this is what I have liked most of the fights we done in Bellator. And she finished everyone, and I don't know if you watched the fight, but it's crazy how commentators say
I was about to watch the fight this morning. That was my plan, but because by plan we were supposed to speak a bit later, but then you mentioned to
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
okay, let's jump into it, and yeah, I was
yeah.
prepared,
I make
I
it.
had them
You're
share,
gonna
was about to watch it, and yeah, but I couldn't.
you're gonna see, and you're gonna get impressed, like how the commentator, like on the first moments where, like mainly my best things is wrestling for MMA, so cage wrestling and like all developing how to strike using the wrestling. No, like this is how I work on, and where I'm like one of my strongest point. But anyway, on the fight, during the fight, the commentators say, "Oh, this is not the right things for Janay to do, finishing the clinch with her." And after 3 seconds, Janay lands this throw, is in her guard. I'm telling her, elbow, elbow. She lands the elbow, and you hear the commentator. Oh, I think she's proving me wrong. She is such a complete fighter now, and she's working. She work hard, and he start nominate me and saying, "Oh, she've done like good work on that." And the second round, he was kind of shitty again, saying like, "Oh, he shouldn't. The girl is black belt. He shouldn't be there." And again, we take her down. We are dominant. And what's happened at the end? It was 3 seconds left on the third round. Janay was having deep rear naked choke, complete dominant fight on the ground, more than on the feet. It was like people were shocked, saying like, "How is possible? She's a striker. She dominated the fight, and she show like amazing wrestling, amazing cage wrestling, and a great grappling defense on the submission and things like that." Was This was the biggest win, honestly, like more than like the hands raised up, like a coach. For me, this is the biggest satisfaction.
Brilliant, brilliant. I'm definitely gonna watch it after it's prepared, but it's probably loading now. But I just couldn't do it before. Okay.
I know.
So let's go for another practical question, or how you structure a training session. So
So it's of course different programs for the experience of the guy I have in front of me. It's different for professional IMMAF as well, because professional, you have elbow, knee. IMMAF, I'm telling you, in some situation in Italy, I was having some great fighters who have championship. I teach them just to go run for the double leg. You can't get knee, you can't get any damage, and make him fly inside the cage, and actually was a winning style because you can run, the guy can knee in the head. That's change when you get to the pro. And so there we have developed some kind of safety, not safety, like we prioritize what type of takedown are healthy and what's other are a little bit more like dangerous, no? And I think MMA is a different sport, like of course so much similar to sambo, and you need to work a lot on MMA. People like sometimes over prioritize like different section, but I try a lot to put things together. And for example, where my fighters are really good are on the scramble, like on getting in the scramble. Maybe sometimes you are on the bottom, and or you get taken down and straight away work for scramble and using the wall, using all these intermediate section where people sometimes have the biggest hole.
yeah, awesome.
Yeah, and like the program is different for professional, and is different for the style of the professional fighter I had. Because sometimes you really need to fight against not fight against, like you need to make your athlete understand. Sometimes, you know, they become really good. I have a guy who he gonna actually have his MMA debut now. I'm training him 1 year and a half. His wrestling, his MMA, it's like he can go pro if he wants now. And he's training 1 year and a half with me. It's my product and everything. The guy at some point of his, I remember, like was like before I left for Bellator, he started question and say, oh, you know, I want to do more striking. I feel I can knock people down. And I was getting so angry about, you know, not so angry, but I tried to make him get on the track because, of course, it's like in the normal life. You get fascinated about the guy with a nice car. You want the nice car because it's how looks. You don't think how much it can cost you maintain a car like that, how much petrol you're gonna spend, how much insurance, and you're making a mistake buying this car, you know. So I refresh him everything. I make him his head's big like that, and I say, look, cut the bullshit. You gonna find your opening for the strike using your wrestling and get back, because he was getting sparring the last couple of sparring we had, and he was getting taken down, and he was always extremely dominant and extremely like good on offense, wrestling offense. He was getting taken down because he was focused like on bang, on stay on the feet and try, you know, to get this knockout. And he was getting taken down. He was losing around. And I say, you seen what's happening? And he was getting mad and say, coach, he was right. Like I start working in a different way and wants to do, like, I think you can do 100%, you can do, but if your takedown, like in 1 year and a half, you can't be a complete fighter. You have gonna have still a lot of things you lack on, and one can be a takedown defense, you know, and like you can stay and bang with someone who you know, can't take you down, and the percentage of your defense is really high, and that's different story. But we are so far from there, really far from there. So one step at a time, and yeah, make things right.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree with you on all the stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, well, brother, how can people follow you, find you on social media?
So they can, for any question, for any inquiry, for even sharing like idea or collaborate together, they can find me on Instagram, on Facebook. My name is Renato Subotic. And even for young athletes, if they want some have some they want to talk to me, ask me some question, I'm here. I'm doing this 24/7, and I love the sport. I love I'm so like how can I say, always hungry to learn and to evolve things. So yeah, I'm here for the MMA athletes, for the coaches. Actually, right now, one of the good team coming up in Sydney, like, is Triple X. The coach Mohammed, we start working together, and he have a lot of young athletes coming up, and it's beautiful. Know how, like, without like jealousy or things, like people can share, can grow. And if they want to ask me something, I'm always more than happy to help, you know.
Where is your gym? How can people find it and come
So
work and train with you?
I'm responsible for the combat sport at UFC Gym in Rockdale, and mainly I'm there, and as well, like I'm working in the King's Academy in Liverpool, and the grappling education in Kogra. So, and mostly sometimes other gyms. Sometimes now I'm working as well with box class in Parramatta, and I try really to is actually really good really good teams coming up, and if I can help them like to develop the work and share my experience, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, and I hope like soon, like we can travel freely. So it would be awesome, to I had this idea before, for us, to make like workshops, you be my guest here, and work with my students, and like to exchange from time to time. That
More
would
than
be
welcome.
awesome. If uh and I hope the borders between New South Wales Queensland will be open, so I can see your students on Queensland Open next year on 20th February. That would be awesome, so we can come and compete.
Yeah,
We already competed in Sydney, and yeah, it's gonna be awesome to come together and compete.
100%.
Well, thank for that, brother. We make 2 hours plus. That's really awesome talk, and
Oh, oh wow.
I guess speaking about them, maybe we can talk 3 more hours easily.
Oh, I think if we keep going, you're gonna divorce, yeah, that's it.
Thanks for that, brother. One last question. So what is worth
Yeah.
fighting for?
Sorry.
What is worth fighting for? What's a good reason to fight for?
Look, I think fighting it's really uh, it's a it's something really strong, really big to bring in your life, and it's what a lot of young guy, a lot of people needs. Like I something I hear about a lot. It's about depression, even in this situation. We live now COVID, and where the freedom, like we're lucky in Australia, honestly, but still a lot of people like maybe have lost jobs or lost their freedom, like to do what they make them happy. And I think fighting it's something when you bring in your life really big, and they kind of fighting close a lot of holes. Maybe you have like no everyone have like easy life, like and with fighting you need to be there 100%, so this keep your mind like out from stupid things, and this is the most important work of one coach. This is the first goal before any result, before, because what's make difference is not only the big coach who takes people to UFC and make them win the belt, but is the local coach who put himself in the first line, and maybe not everyone gonna be a fighter. Some of the guy gonna um, bring this fighting spirit in his student's life, or gonna become a lawyer, doctor, and this is the positive like uh, things about the sport. And one things I don't like, and I think ruining athletes is who try to use the sport like playing some I don't know tough guy, street, like things like that, like bring bad bad lights on our sport, not thinking we are like animals or things like that. When like in this sport, this one is what is the game changer at a high level, no? And yeah, this is what I think about. Like fighting can really help a lot of people who is missing something in their life. For me, was something normal, something I was born in, and I was lucky and blessed to have that in my life. And this is why I try to really give back every day. Who knows? Most of my classes I do for free. I don't like. I'm lucky to have a job and doing what I love to do, and like I really put my student on the first line, and I feel happy and blessed when I see them like complete and and happy what they do, and I feel okay, I'm doing things right. And it's the energy, coming back. If you have someone happy next to you, you're happy, and you feel like you're doing things right, like that's it.
Well, I think it is because the fighting sport is very hard. It's the hardest sport in the world. Like no other sport is as hard as to step every day
Exactly.
against someone who is prepared to kick your ass. It's
Yeah,
nothing is harder than that. But because it's hard, everyone gets better. Get the people practicing. Like not as you said, not everyone will be world champion, right, in the gym, but
exactly.
everyone learns lessons that can apply in life and become a better in whatever he's doing. And there is
Exactly.
something else especially in the Western world. There is a lot of weakness just because the life is like worse, let's say slightly easier. And now
Yeah,
when some difficulties hit, people will lose their balance, lose their head, and that's what fighting sport give to you. Give you toughness and give you these
yeah,
little tools to know how to deal with tough stuff. And I think it's very important, especially that at times like that when things are getting a bit harder, for everyone, to make a bit of time for fighting sport in their life, and everyone can
yeah,
benefit from
yeah,
that. It's gonna make you better, gonna give you community, gonna give you something strong to hold on, you can keep going, and hopefully sooner or later we'll be out from that and we'll be stronger than that.
yeah. And the main goal have to be the new generation coming up, because there's a lot of kids, because there's a lot of positive things about social media, about have this opportunity, but there's a lot of bad things as well, where sometimes we bring out some idols, some stuff, people and kids, especially in that age when they are a little bit more like sensible. They start doing wrong things, and this is where is our responsibility, like human, like coaches, like everything. And there's a lot of before was kind of impossible to think about, but I can't believe how many kids are suffering about depression, about like bad things, no? And we need to look after each other. You need to support each other, and it's good giving something strong to it's better, the good one things I always gonna remember, like everyone have tough moment in my life. I have in my first, I have in first place a tough moment in life. But I remember like going to the gym, like even feeling bruised, feeling like tired, feeling like hurt, but it's a feeling, it's a feeling, and it's good. Like I know sounds a little bit crazy, but sometimes people need to feel things, feel the emotion, feel like the pain, feel the things. In this way, you're gonna get through. And you have people in a gym, like other sports as well. They can give it to you. This, and that's our first things. The future generation, this is the most important thing. I have a daughter, and like this is what I will like her, to not being scared, to feel like understand it, to feel like she can really change their life. She can get out from struggle. She have support around, and like it's a lot of bad things around, a lot of bad things, and I'm scared like a father, I'm scared to sometimes need just a moment. This is why we need to build a strong generation who can say no, who can when say seeing the wrong things, not like you see now online bullying, like three, four of them get and bully another girl, or start bashing, or using the violence, and people recording, laughing, be able to when you see something wrong, stand like a man, like a woman, and say, no, that's not right. Why are you doing that? And this is like what's drive me like a father and not only like a coach, you know, like be able to give this safety, you know, like and I will try my best. That's it.
Thank you, brother. That's a great way to finish that, and appreciate your time and the talk we had. I think it's really awesome, and people can get a lot of that. So thanks for that, and hope to see you
Thank
soon.
you, brother. See you soon. Take care.
Cheers, brother. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Fight Zone podcast. Subscribe in your podcast app to receive the next episode. Stay strong and stay safe. This episode is brought to you by Tamarind Spring Water. Visit tamarinsprings.com.au or call 0434 952 449 to order your water today. Tamarind Spring Water is a local business situated on Mount Tamarind. Their water is bottled at the source of their 163-meter deep privately owned spring. And Tamarind Springs, it's a matter of minutes from when the water is extracted from the ground to go into the bottle. They do not add any chemicals whatsoever to drinking water. It only goes through filters to remove sand and sediments that come with the water. When you purchase your water from Tamarind Springs Water, you know you will receive the best spring water Southeast Queensland has to offer from a local family on a mission to provide the best service and quality. Water companies are often blamed with a good reason for polluting the environment with plastic bottles. This is also not the case with Tamarind Spring Water. Your water is delivered to your door in 15 or 20-liter bottles, and your used bottles are collected, disinfected, and refilled again. So zero plastic waste goes to the environment. Me, my family, and my team are also using Tamarind Spring Water. Once you drink real spring water for a while, you cannot drink anymore from the sink or any commercial waters from the supermarket because they stink and have bad taste. Ridiculously enough, in Australia you can mix 50% of the water with tap water and label and sell it as spring water. This is not the case with Tamarind Spring Water. I personally know the family who owns it and have been numerous times in their small factory to see my water being bottled straight from the spring after filtration process. Find out more at tamarinsprings.com.au or call 0434 952 449 to order your water today.